Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and another Star Wars gaming discussion video. As today I wanted to talk about a quite important topic, which is the Star Wars gaming license and what might be happening with it moving forward, because obviously, as many of you probably know, or in case you didn't know, EA signed a deal with Disney back in 2013 for the exclusive rights to Star Wars games, well, other than some mobile games and Lego Star Wars. And this deal lasted 10 years, which means that it ends in 2023. I'm not sure exactly when in 2023, it might not be specified, but it just might be when you hit 2023 the deal is over, which, as you then understand, is not very far out, only about 2.5 years or something like that, depending on how exactly it works. And obviously Star Wars is still a very hyped franchise, and although the recent movies might not have performed super well, they've got Mandalorian doing really well, Clone Wars doing really well, and I don't think the excitement around Star Wars is going to end anytime soon, which means that games will also still be very popular. EA has had its, well, ups and downs with the Star Wars license. Initially I remember them saying, or at least the CEO, that they didn't actually want this Star Wars deal. But that has kind of shifted over the last couple of years, both in terms of how well the games have performed, but also in June this year they said that they were going to double down on the Star Wars license and produce more Star Wars games, which is a quite bold statement considering that the license is almost over. And that alone almost makes me think that they might already have made a deal with Disney to continue this license, because keep in mind that if you want to release a Star Wars game, you probably want to support it beyond the actual launch, whether it's with a live service, expansions, or just updates. And well, that might still be included in the license even if it does expire in 2023. But for instance, Fallen Order 2 is still rumored to be released in fall 2022, which is just before the license actually ends. And I think it would be really strange if they released it and then a couple of months later they're like, nah, we can't support this game anymore. So I think that unofficially they've probably already come to a deal with Disney, whether it is to extend it, change it somehow, or do anything like that, because that's the kind of decision you really need to know years in advance, considering how long it takes to make Star Wars games. And it's not something you can decide a few months before the deal ends, because then you will have lost years of development time, and if they can't start developing games until 2023 again, well, then it's just going to be the same bad start that we had with this license, because that's been one of the biggest problems with this license, that it takes so long to create the games, both because, well, games takes a lot of time to create, but also because Lucasfilms are pretty hard to work with. Considering that the first 5 years all we got was Battlefront 1 and 2, and those, well, had their issues, the first one being a bit lackluster, the second one being a huge game, but then obviously with the loot box fiasco. After that though, the games have performed really well. Battlefront 2 had an amazing comeback, and both Battlefront 1 and 2 did perform very well sales-wise, which is obviously something that's very important for a license like this. And then you've got Fallen Order 1, a success, Galaxy of Heroes have been doing really well on mobile, and then Squadrons coming out now, which I at least think is going to be a success. It's hard to say before the launch, but it's not going to be a loot box fiasco, and hopefully the game will live up to the expectations, as we pretty much know most of the stuff about the game already. So just looking back the last couple of years, I think they're pretty happy with the license, and also, like they said back in June, they wanted to double down on this license, which means that they're probably planning to create more than just Fallen Order 2 and Squadrons, but hopefully they have some other stuff in the works that they need to have that license extended for. But I think the big thing here is that ideally they wouldn't just extend the license on the same terms, but I think the best thing would be that they would have the license for specific projects. So if they want to make Fallen Order 2 or maybe Star Wars Battlefront 3, they can do that, but they can also license out specific projects to different studios and different publishers. So it doesn't just have to be EA, because there are a lot of good studios out there, a lot of good publishers who could pull off some amazing, huge Star Wars games. And I don't think the right thing is to either give exclusive rights to EA or take away those exclusive rights and give them to someone else. But I think the best way would simply be to give specific licenses for specific projects and franchises to different publishers instead. And on top of the lackluster first 5 years of the license, they've also cancelled 3 games. First of all, Visceral's Project Ragtag, which was actually quite far into development, and then Project Viking, which was a Battlefront spin-off game, and also the open world project called Orca. Both Viking and Orca was very early into development, but Visceral's game was apparently pretty far into development. So obviously there's a lot of problems around developing Star Wars games, and that's even before EA had this license, with 1313 being cancelled and Battlefront 3, the original, being cancelled, and the list goes on. So I think the best thing they could do is simply license out those projects to the publishers or studios that are perfectly fit for that specific project, because obviously if you want someone to make a huge open world game, well, maybe Rockstar can do that, and so on. If you want to have a competitive Star Wars game, well, there are very good publishers and studios for that as well. So in short, I don't think EA are gonna lose the license in 2023. I think they've probably already made a deal with Disney to at least continue on the franchises that they're already working on, but the big question is, are they going to give out the rights to more publishers, or are they still going to keep it exclusively to EA? I know a lot of you will say, I hope EA loses the license altogether, but I think that is very unlikely, especially with the success they've had the last couple of years. But I do have my fingers crossed that more publishers will be allowed to work with the Star Wars license, because there's just millions of ideas for different types of games they could create with this license, so just limiting it to one publisher doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I think another big thing that people are usually missing out on is the fact that financially the Star Wars license has done well. I think Battlefront 1 and 2 together have sold over 33 million copies, and Fallen Order is closing in on 10 million if they haven't already passed that. So in that way, they're doing really well. And now PR-wise, they're actually doing pretty well considering the last couple of games. So if you were to ask me 3 years ago or 4 years ago if I thought EA was going to keep the license, I would have said a straight up no. Now I'm more leaning towards the fact that they're probably going to keep it to some degree. Maybe not exclusively, but at least so that they can continue working on Star Wars projects that they've already built up, such as Fallen Order and maybe Battlefront, who knows. Because they have already to some degree shown that they are capable of licensing out specific games to other developers, such as TT Games with Lego Star Wars. So why not do that with a couple of more franchises, and I think the community would be very happy, as compared to having it locked down to just one publisher. But before I wrap up this video, I just wanted to say that if any of you guys want to support the channel and get yourself a free Star Wars book, no strings attached, you can do so through audible.com. You just follow the link in the description below, sign up for a trial, you get a free Star Wars book, or any book for that matter, but I highly recommend any of the Star Wars books available there. And I get a bit of commission if you do so, even if you don't extend the actual trial, so you don't have to pay a single dollar. Get that free book, make use of it, and if you don't want to pay, just cancel your subscription. It's as easy as that. But that brings this video to an end. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.